Why is it we find it so hard to forgive? Because when you actually forgive, it sets you free. But somehow we've led to believe that when we forgive, we're condoning the person's behavior. We're letting them get away with it. But it's exactly the opposite. What we are doing is, as mentioned, setting ourselves free, liberating the energy to be able to lead a life without that heaviness of holding on to resentment, hurt, and pain. Hi, I'm Chantal, psychotherapist and Reiki master here at Unfold Your Freedom. Forgiveness is something that is really hard for us to do. It actually means us taking accountability for ourselves and our reactions towards something. Because something I learned years ago in my own therapy is that when you're blaming the other person, constantly blaming them, you're remaining victim. But when you can hold them accountable, you become responsible and then accountable for your own actions and responses to that. Actually, that was really freeing, even though it took me quite a while to get there. Now, when you're holding on to those grudges, there also comes an element of self-righteousness. But they did that to me, and why should I let it go? And what you're doing is creating this restriction. You can't even bear sometimes, depending on the hurt and who it was, to even have them in your sphere, in your thought form. Yet you hold on, you create stories, you can't sleep at night because you keep going over and over it. And again, it's that indignation and judgment of what they did. So to come to a point of forgiveness is a really powerful part of your healing. It's actually a part of releasing from trauma, if it's been a traumatic one. It's actually releasing yourself. But it's actually, ironically, even though you might not want this, it's releasing the other person too. And you're doing that unbeknownst to you. You're doing that out of your sphere. Because at this point, you're actually going to focus on yourself. So there's different ways you can do this. But first of all, we'll look at what does it do to you? Well, it actually hurts your body. Because holding that anger into you, you're creating issues in your body. You're creating pain in your body that you don't need. You're creating thought forms you don't need. You often connect yourself from your spirituality and your intuition because you're so closed into this space of hurt, resentment, anger, could be jealousy, whatever it might be, that you're not able to open yourself up. You're not open yourself up to the beauty that's around you, those moments of joy, that feeling release. Because when you can then finally think of that personal situation that's caused you pain, and you can go, oh my gosh, that no longer affects me to that extent, like it's no longer that emotional charge, then you know you've set yourself free. Then you know you've got this real sense of freedom in your life. So what I'm going to take you through now I have got notes here because I do work with notes a lot. I'm going to take you through a process of what forgiveness entails. Because I think it's really important, you know, how to do something. It's all very well to get theory, but it's important to put it into place as well. I also have a beautiful Ho'oponopono Hawaiian prayer to support you in the process. Now, what I'm going to do is, as I said, I'll take you through the steps. I'll give you examples and I'll share something of myself as well, because I had to do a lot of forgiveness around a young man who caused a car accident that threw me into complex PTSD. The accident in itself wasn't serious, but what it did to me was serious. And that took me a long time to forgive because it changed the complete trajectory of my life and where I am. Yet here I am doing this. If that hadn't happened, would I be here doing this? Who knows? But that's what forgiveness is all about. So 4 steps you have here. You've got to state who you need to forgive, and for what and for why. And that can also, of course, include yourself, because that's one of the hardest things to be able to do, is say that you actually hurt someone, that you actually need to perhaps ask them for forgiveness, and also to forgive yourself for perhaps holding on to the pain, whatever it might be. What this does is it breaks the denial that you're in and you accept how you're really feeling. So once you can really acknowledge that, because it's powerful, you need to accept it, but you need to do it in a way that feels safe. Because again, we've been taught how to gloss over emotions. We just go, oh yes, I'm sorry, or oh yes, I forgive. But it's not really from the heart. You're actually not fully setting yourself free. So the next step is you've got to acknowledge and accept that have those feelings. Because we're, again, not allowed to and not taught to have those deep feelings of hurt, anger, resentment. You're not meant to feel that. But why not? Because they actually are there, but it's actually what you do with them. And why keep internalizing them and hurting your own body? To me, that just doesn't make sense anymore. It does now, because when you look back at some of the health issues that were created, great depression, anxiety, blood pressure, headaches, all sorts of things. That's just a few that come off the top of my head. Why do you still want to live that way in your life when you could just feel free and be in flow? So if you're unsure where to start here, you just start somewhere. Get your journal out. If you don't know how, I'll put a link here to help you on your way. And just start writing, because when we are numb, we actually don't know how we feel. When we are in denial, we don't know how to bring it up. We can feel shame and all those things. So just acknowledge and accept. Or even if you just say, I acknowledge that I feel hurt. That's all you need to do. That's a really good start. 3, state the benefits of what it'll bring you to forgive. You will begin to feel lighter. You'll begin to feel more joy and happiness, and you'll be able to bring love into your life. Love from all sorts of different ways, but also love for yourself. And it might be in the end, and I did this with my late father. Mind you, it took me many, many years. So I'm not saying you should do this too, but I'm able to see him in a whole different way. I'm able to embrace him with compassion and love, because that's all about the heart chakra. That's what I'll be talking about in one of my videos down the track, is how that supports you in healing, and forgiveness is really a big part of that. It will make a difference. Why not get started now? Start journaling. 4, surrender and let go, and then commit to forgiving. And it might take you a few days, it might take you a few months, it might take you a long time. But when you can surrender into that space, okay, this is how I'm feeling. Then you can start releasing it. There's different techniques you can do to do that, like see it in a balloon and watch it release, pop it on a beautiful petal or flower bud on a stream and let it go away. Then you're releasing it from your body. You're clearing and cleansing it out of your body. But then you're also making that commitment to yourself that you are serious about this, that you really want this to happen for yourself. Remember, it's for yourself. And as I mentioned, you'll be able to be doing it for the other person as well. That's sort of a byproduct here. So I'll give you an example of what it was for me. I'm willing to forgive the young man who rear-ended me. I acknowledge and accept that I feel angry. I choose to now release this anger as it releases me, and I'll feel happy and more at peace. I commit myself to forgiving him, and I accept the peace and freedom that comes with this. Deep breath in and tune into your body. And even if you only get a glimpse of that peace, that's already a start. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. Let me just see what else I can give you here. So the benefits are, you'll feel much more joy in your life again. You'll feel free and full of energy and vitality. Your stress levels will reduce. My God, your health will improve. Why wouldn't you want that? But you do need to go through the process. It can bring things up. It can trigger things. So do go and get support. Go and seek professional help, particularly if it's something deep within and you're dealing with something that was really affected you tremendously, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Get help. Don't necessarily do this on your own. But to start with, you might just do something that's easy for you to do. Don't jump straight in, because sometimes when we've been through trauma, and it was for me, I'm black or white, all or nothing. I had to do it now or not. I had to learn to take those little steps. The other thing that you might need to do, I did a lot of forgiveness around my father, but after he had died. And it took me many, many years to be able to do that, because I didn't understand I could work with him on that level, and the healing has been tremendous. But let's face it, it's been nearly 23 years now. And I didn't realize I could do that. But by doing that, it opened me up. I opened up my connection to my intuition. I opened my connection to my spirit. And then things were able to really come through. Now, that's something you may or may not want to do. But again, check in with yourself. Now, the other thing, if you can't do it at first, because as I mentioned, I couldn't, I was suggested to me, and initially I was a little bit, what does this mean? A bit hesitant. This was before I really got into all my spiritual intuition work, was ask your angels, guides, God, whatever it is for you, to start the healing on your behalf. Because when you can't even bear to think about that person or visualize that person, it can actually create tremendous tension in your body. And guess what? You go back in. It actually doesn't do you any good. So what I did was I just put it out there. Could you please start the process for me of forgiveness, of love, and for compassion? Then at least that way I knew something was happening. A cord was starting to be cut without me having to do it. Then when I was ready, I could step into it. That was a very powerful way to do that. So what will happen is you'll also start to sleep a lot better because you're not going over and over in your mind and creating bigger scenarios and ending up on these journeys. You think, how on earth did I get here? Then you haven't slept. Then you become irritable. Then you don't enjoy your day. You don't enjoy your family, your loved ones, whatever it might be, because you keep going on and on and on. And the irony is you're hurting yourself, no one else. The other person or whatever is getting on in their lives, but not you. So what you do is just look at different aspects of your life. But as you do that, and as you start forgiving more and more, you'll start noticing changes. Noticing changes with your family, changes with your loved ones, changes with your work, even in your business. Because a lot of the work I'm doing now is how trauma affects you in your business, whether that be you have your own or in career. Because we actually take all this into our work. How can we not? Someone at work might have hurt you. You're holding on to this resentment. And of course, it's going to create friction. And that doesn't help you. And then you're not enjoying your time. You're not going to have productivity. You're not going to be able to make the money you want if you are in business, because you cannot let go. You can't build up the relationship that you need and want for you to succeed the way you want to succeed. Okay? Then you'll start finding that new opportunities will appear. You'll have all these lovely little moments of joy, those little coincidences that you didn't expect. Because again, you're free. You've worked through your things. So some ideas you can do: meditate, journal, do gratitude. Obviously the forgiveness I've given you, the Ho'oponopono prayer, movement. There's so many different ways you can do this. Art, even when you do art to help you express how you feel, if that's your way. Poems. There's so many beautiful ways you can do this. And I've got a few things on my in my playlist, so you might like to subscribe if you already haven't, and then go and have a look at different ways that you can support yourself in doing this, because ultimately you need to feel comfortable with how you're going to do this. Remember, you need to own this. You need to do it in your way. What I do is just give you suggestions, things that I've done or have been suggested to me. Some I've liked, some I haven't, but then you really get into a flow to be able to forgive. Okay? So what also happens is that when you're more open to receiving, now this is not only receiving from people, but receiving from your intuition, you are open to new ideas, to solutions, to a different way of being. And then that creates a lovely flow in your life that you didn't expect, which again attracts the beautiful moments of joy, those smiles on your face, you know, all those beautiful things that come in. And you can listen to the whispers of your heart and soul, because you're coming back to here. You're no longer closed off. You're no longer in that constricted space. Oh, it's so beautiful. And you stop limiting yourself. You can now see, you can get out there. You no longer need to hold on to that. You don't need to fear the world. You are feeling safe, okay? And a lot more good will come into your life. And you can share that good with other people. You can actually put yourself out there. Oh, it's such a beautiful energy that comes up. And lastly, what you do is you really discover who you are. Oh my goodness, I loved that. And I love working with clients with it. I love seeing my friends do that. I love even seeing myself come out there. My goodness, I could never have said that in the past. But when I started forgiving others, forgave myself for what I did to others, that was hard. And then I started forgiving myself. I would not be where I am today, in this beautiful space of love, joy, compassion. Anyhow, I get excited, as you might have gathered. You find your truth. That is what's important. You find your truth and what is important to you. And what you do is you realize you're much stronger than you realize, because you're able to set boundaries. You're able to say yes to yourself, no to others. You're able to forgive perhaps a lot quicker. You don't hold on to things. And remember, as we said in the beginning, you're not condoning that person's behavior. You're not letting them get away with it. You are releasing yourself into a beautiful space of love. Oh, breath in, hand on your heart. Just get a sense of, how does that make you feel? Do you get excited? Is it a bit scary? Let me know in the comments. And yes, let me know what you do, because it's always lovely. I love seeing what other people do. It's lovely to see what you do. If there's anything you'd love to share, I'd love to hear. Now, to end, I'm going to share a quote by Marianne Williamson. She wrote amazing books all those years ago, but one was Return to Love. And she said, "Forgiveness is not always easy. At times it feels more painful than the wound we suffered to forgive one that inflicted it. And yet there is no peace without forgiveness." Thank you for watching. Love to hear your comments. Namaste, and see you in one of my other videos.